Hey Pilates people, welcome to Connect and Move. My name is Jessica. Today I'll be taking you through just a little mat session with a heavy focus on the feet and the connection of your feet to your seat or feet to your hips. A couple things that you'll need just a mat, or maybe you can do this on the carpet, or you'll need your toe corrector. If you don't have one of these fancy things, you can use a thick rubber band like you get around asparagus or broccoli. So just go to your grocery store and just snag one off of the asparagus or broccoli. So once you have your rubber band or your toe corrector, we can get started. So you're gonna have a seat on your mat, and you are going to take your rubber band and you're gonna place the rubber band around your big toes. So make sure that when you place it around your big toes, it's not all the way down into the crease. It's up high, kind of almost around like your toenails, right? That kind of high. All right, or maybe like just below, okay? Not sure if you can see that. All right, so I'm gonna spin around now. All right, so once your toe corrector is on, I want you to straighten your legs out. Have your hands just down by your side, maybe a little bit behind you. I would like for you to kind of push into your arms so you're sitting up tall, right? So we're not slouching, right? We're doing Pilates, right? So find a little bit of tension on the band, spring, whatever you have here, and dig your heels into the mat. So you kind of feel maybe like the back of the leg kicks on a little bit. And now if you can, let's have all 10 toes looking up to the ceiling. And another thing here where we're just adding layers on. Imagine the bottoms of your feet were up against a wall, or maybe like you were standing up here. So find that the bottoms are level, again, as best you can. So once you feel like you've got that sorted, I'm looking at my feet and they're just doing all kinds of funky things. So it's a major brain game. So keep all those things I just gave you. And now I want you to pull your heels apart to open up the spring, right? Or the band, and just hold here. Imagine you have no knees, right? So this motion is coming right from the hip, right? Because we have just these long levers and we're pulling them apart. We're still holding 2, 3, and then just relax, right? So when we pull the heels apart, it's coming from our hips, okay? All 10 toes still looking up to the ceiling. Let's do it 2 more times. So drag the heels like kind of across the mat a little bit. I mean, mine moved maybe a millimeter, and just hold. 2, 3, and then slowly release. All right, reset anything if you need. Let's do that one more time. Dig the heels in, pull them apart. Try to get both feet somewhat identical, right? Somewhat flat up against that imaginary wall, and then slowly release. All right, so now I want you to find about maybe half that tension, not to where we're like cramping in the side of the hip. And all I want you to do here is just the big toes. Reach them forward. Oh, so hard. And then pull them back. Now, if your other toes start to move, it's fine. Do your best. I want you to do as I say, not as I do for this one. A lot more work in the brain, I feel like, than anything. So big toes go forward, and then they come back. And as you do this, we're keeping the same tension on the band. So if you're noticing that it's going in, out, try to stabilize that as you go forward and back. Another thing to keep an eye on is, what are the ankles doing, right? They're not moving. It's technically just the big toes. Technically, those other toes aren't even supposed to be moving. All right, so notice if there's any instability in the ankle, like my left one is moving all over the place right now. So now I want you to reach all 10 toes forward and point the toes. right? So reach everything forward. Think of the toes being long. I don't know what these right toes are doing. And now I want you to pull the toes back first and then pull the tops of the feet back. Still keeping tension on the band, so right, feeling the hips working. Push the balls of the feet forward. Then you point the toes, keep tension on the band, and then pull the toes back, and then we pull the tops of the feet back. Balls of the feet go forward, so like fanning the toes. Toes go forward, toes go back, and pull the tops of the feet back. So all the while your heels are steady kind of pulling apart as they kind of glide forward and back. And here's where I really want you to take notice of what's happening in the ankles. So like my left ankle, I roll out on that foot a lot. So I really have to like work on pushing through the big ball of the foot more on that side. Let's do one more here. Toes come back and tops of the feet pull forward. All right, so now we're in a flexed position. Think of this being like a 90-degree angle at the ankle and keeping, once again, tension on the band. All I want you to do is just curl the toes and then pull the toes back. Just curl the toes like you're trying to make a fist and pull the toes back. Now, once again, the bottoms of your feet, with the exception of the toes, of course, think of them being up against that flat surface. Ankles are relatively stable. Anybody else have smoke coming out of your ears right now? Oh, my brain's telling my feet to do all kinds of things, but not a lot of things are happening. Good, let's do 2. And 1. Okay, now the toes are back to being looking straight up at the ceiling. All right, now only the right foot, right? I want you to push through the balls of the feet and then point out through the toes as best you can, right? If you've got a tight band, right, it's gonna be challenging. And then pull the toes back and then you pull the top of the foot back. All right, again, push through the balls of the feet, point the toes, and then toes come back, tops of the foot come back. Once again, heels are still pulling apart, so this left leg is super stable. You might not have as much range as when we did it with both feet, that's fine. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling work in my right hip because I'm steady pulling those heels apart. Make this your last one here. Push through the balls of your feet, point out through the toes, toes pull back, and then flex the foot. Realign these toes, make sure that they're back facing up to the ceiling, and now we do the same on the other side. Heels stay pulling apart, push through the balls of the feet, toes go forward, toes pull back, and then we flex the feet. Balls of the feet go forward, point out through the toes, toes pull back, and then we flex, right? So if you have to, maybe place your hand on your ankle just so you can kind of stabilize and help get it into the right position. Like this is my side where it wants to cave in. Probably too many days of wearing platform shoes on cobblestone streets and in clubs. Either way though, you should be feeling some work in the foot, maybe in the hips, maybe like in the back of the legs. I'm feeling some stuff there. Let's do 2 more. And last one, try to stabilize that right leg, that right foot, and then back up. Okay, so now we're gonna keep the feet or keep the corrector around the toes, and then we're gonna come lying on our back. So place your feet on the mat. All 10 toes are down. So find the tension in the band, but find it by pressing down through that tripod connection and now pulling the feet apart, right? So again, we're kind of activating through the hips. The arms are anchored down into the mat. And now keep that tripod connection and just lift the hips up into bridge and pause at the top. Have you lost the connection with the band? And then just roll back down. And if you feel like you need to, maybe walk the feet apart a little bit. right? Again, roll the hips up. Take note if you've lost anything in your feet, and then roll back down. So now it's a little bit harder, I personally feel, because I can't see what's going on. I have to just go right on feeling and obviously what I saw when my feet were in front of me. So go ahead and roll the hips up. Find the top of your bridge. Feel again that tripod connection down through the heel, the big ball of your foot, and your pinky ball of your foot. So now keeping that, just lift the toes up and then lower the toes back down. Lift the toes and then lower the toes back down. You're still kind of pulling the heels apart a little bit. And then just make sure there's no tension in your chest. Your pubic bone is higher than your 2 hip points. Toes lift and down. Now we're gonna add on more. So lift the toes up. Now lift the balls of the feet up. Imagine that band staying exactly the same. Place the balls of the feet down. Toes go down. Toes lift up. Balls of the feet lift up. Balls of the feet go down. Toes go down. Now this time, lift the heels up. Heels go down. Toes lift. Balls of the feet come up. So now we're just articulating through the ankle. Balls of the feet go down. Toes go down. Heels lift. Now when these heels lift, you're still thinking of a little pull apart on the band. Big balls of the feet stay down. And now heels go down. Toes lift up. Big balls of the feet lift up. Toes, or sorry, balls, then toes, heels lift, heels lower. And now pause here with your feet pancake to the mat and just roll down through your spine. Roll down, roll down. Hopefully at the very least you felt some stuff in your hips. So go ahead and now straighten the legs out. You still have the band around the toes. And now once again, think of that flat bottom of the feet. Toes are looking up to the ceiling. Pin your heels down, but again, pull them apart. Reach the arms up to the sky. Take a big breath in. And then on your exhale, I want you to roll yourself all the way up. If you got to grab onto the legs, grab onto the legs and just round forward. And now keeping that connection in your feet, I want you to roll back down. So pin those heels down. Don't let those toes move. Go all the way down. Arms go back behind you, pick them up to the ceiling, and then use your exhale to roll yourself all the way up. And now, stack your spine up tall, and now roll the pelvis away from the thighs. Roll back, roll back, roll back, and now go just to the tip of your shoulder blades. Arms are strong like paddles, and start pumping your arms for your 100. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. So when you're here, try to keep those feet stable. Heels pinning down and pulling apart. Ankles are stable. Toes are looking up to the ceiling. It's kind of nice because it takes the focus off the 100. Let's do one more here. So inhale and exhale, 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 exhale out all of your breath. Lie all the way down, reach the arms back behind you. Arms pick up. Only 2 roll-ups here. Up and over. Toes look up to the ceiling. Maybe fix them here if you need. And then roll yourself back, back, back. Last one like this. Arms pick up. We go up, 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 and over. All right. Let's now take this band off. Oh, wiggle out the toes. So I'm just going to chuck this off to the side. So we're going to still refer back to this band, but some of the things we're going to do, right, we're not going to be able to keep them around. So I want you to bend your knees, bring your feet in close to your bottom, and grab onto your ankles or your shins. Ankles is going to be a little bit harder, so find somewhere in here. Walk your feet in a little bit. And now lift your heels up. And now lift your toes up. So now we're balancing on our bottom, or just behind our bottom. And now I want you to push the shins into the hands and curl your tailbone under and feel like you're pulling your low belly away from your thighs. Keep your heels hugging together so knees are apart. And now as you inhale, I want you to rock back in this shape. And then exhale to rock you up. Inhale takes you back. Exhale rocks you up. Now to keep with this toe, connection, can you keep your feet exactly the same as you go back and back up? Press those heels together. Kind of gives you something to focus on. Lift the hips and exhale up. Last one. And up. Now, can you bring the legs a little bit closer together? So now you're in parallel. And then just roll yourself back. Stay in your upper ab curl if that's available. Now I want you to flex your feet. Okay? Take your hands behind your right thigh. Straighten your left leg out. So I want you to push that right leg into your hands like you were kicking down a door. Now remember that toe corrector or the band that you had, right? Think all 10 toes looking up to the ceiling, and then switch legs. Push the leg into the hands like you were kicking down a door, and then switch legs. And switch. So by pushing the leg into the hands, we're creating tension in the body, and that might help you lift the chest up higher, but now you gotta keep it as you switch legs. Think of driving right through the inner edge of your heels. Let's do 3 and 2 and 1. And now just hug your knees into your chest, lower your head down, turn your head from right to left. All right, so grab back onto the back of your legs. And now if it's available, curl the head, neck, and shoulders up. Once again, push the leg into the hands. Your elbows are wide here. And now can you stabilize through the pelvis? Feet are flexed again. Send the legs out to your working angle as the arms reach up to the ceiling. And now hold here. All right, fix anything in your feet. Imagine you've got the toe corrector on even though the legs are together. And then just hug the knees back in. Send the legs back out. And then hug the knees back in. Even if your head is down, right? You're still doing that same thing here, okay? Think of keeping your spine and your pelvis stable as you go out and in. This is your double leg stretch. You have 2 and 1, and now just hold here. Both kneecaps are looking straight up. Keep the flex of your feet. Right leg comes straight up, left leg lowers down. Grab onto the back of your right leg. Push the leg into the hands, and then scissor switch. Can you keep that 90-degree flex of your ankle as you switch and switch? Make sure those legs are staying parallel. So like my left hip is tighter than my right hip. So I know I have to think of it spiraling in almost, because otherwise it wants to turn out. You've got 3 and 2 and the last one. Hug the knees in, just kind of rock from side to side. All right, straighten the legs out onto the mat, feet are flexed. Just imagine you had that toe corrector on. So dig those heels in, reach the arms up to the ceiling, take a big breath in, and then on your exhale, I want you to roll yourself up and over. Now, before we finish our ab series, I just want to warm up and get a good twist before we get into that. So again, pin your heels down. They're about shoulder width distance, maybe the width of the mat. I'm gonna back up so my feet are in the frame there. So interlace the webbing of your fingers. Hands are gonna go behind the base of your skull. And now sit up as tall as you possibly can. Bend the knees if you need. Push the head up and into your hands. And now all I want you to do is just lift and twist to the left. Lift, lift, lift. Come back through center. And then we lift and twist to the right. So head stays pushing back, elbows are reaching wide, and then back through center. One more time like this. Pull those heels apart, dig them into the mat, and then back through center. And I'm hoping you notice that kind of stabilizes the hips and keeps them from moving all over the place. Back through center. So lift and twist to the left. Bring your right elbow up and over to your right knee. When you're here, think of pulling back through the ribs. Pull the heels apart, lift that left elbow up higher, and then stack your spine up tall. Come back through center. We lift and twist to the right. Left elbow up and over. All right, pull back through the ribs like somebody's punching you right in the gut. Right elbow lifts up, and then come all the way up. Again, lift and twist to the left. Now this time, your right elbow is gonna come to your left knee. And then come all the way up. Back through center, lift and twist to the right. Left elbow, right knee. You can see mine's not going there, it's just going that away. And then back up. Okay, now we twist to the left, right elbow to left knee. If you can, think of your head and your right shoulder going right to the center of the mat, and then stack back up, back through center. Last one here, left elbow, right knee, head and shoulder go right to the center of the mat. Lift that right elbow up, and then come back up, find center, and just lower the arms down. All right, so now let's do our lower end lift, and we'll do our crisscross here. So we lie all the way down. You can bring your knees into your chest, interlace the webbing of your fingers, hands go behind the base of your skull. Now, if you are keeping your head down for some more ab work, you can take your hands either down by your side or underneath your tailbone. Otherwise, curl your head, neck, and shoulders up. Keep the head pushing back into the hands, not hands pulling on the neck. Straighten the legs up to the ceiling, flex your feet. Once again, think like you have that toe corrector on. So there's like a little imaginary pull apart with your heels. And now lower the legs down, 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 and then lift the legs back up. You got it. Inhale takes you down, and then exhale to lift you up. Now, if you feel like your spine and pelvis are moving all over the place, right? Limit your range. Some days I can go all the way down to the mat. And some days I move 1 inch, right? Do what you can. Drive out through those inner edges of your heels. Last one. And then back up. Now, bend your knees, okay? Right knee into your chest, left leg shoots out. Left armpit to right knee. Yep. And then switch. Drive out through the heel and switch. Your head is staying in line with the center of your body. Drive out through the heel. You're kicking down that door just like your single leg stretch. We've got 4. Try to lift those shoulder blades up off the mat. And 2. And last one. Lower all the way down. Just swish your knees from right to left. Shake it out. Okay, let's go ahead and rock and roll you up. And now we're gonna come lying on our side. So I'm gonna lie on my left side so I can face you. And I'm gonna let my head be all the way down for today, okay? Because I really want the focus, once again, to be about the feet. So if you're lying on a mat, have your back up against the edge of the mat. Your feet are going to be swept forward to the other side of the mat. So for just a moment, I want you to look down at your feet. Both feet are flexed. Think of both feet being up against a wall. So a lot of times we have to think of your top leg getting longer. All right. So think about planting the side of your bottom foot into the mat. So there's that pull apart with your heels. Try to keep that connection. And now just hover your top leg up a little bit. That's it. Can you still keep your bottom heel plant it into the mat, and now sweep your top leg forward, and then just sweep it back. We sweep it forward, and we sweep it back. Now, if this is your tighter hip, like I was saying, my tighter side, my knee wants to roll out, my leg wants to roll out, think of maybe just finding a little bit more internal rotation, right? So that leg is staying just parallel, right? It's not looking up to the sky, right? And that's it, right? How stable can that bottom heel be as your top leg moves in space? We have 2. And last one, bring the leg back in line with your top, or bring the leg back in line with your bottom leg. Feet are still flexed. And now lift the leg up a little bit and then lower it down. Now, imagine you had that toe corrector or that band around your big toes again. It's the initiation kind of from the heel, like you were dragging it across the mat or across a wall as you do this. So it's all on the side of the hip. Spine is not moving, right? Ribs are not caving in. We're just staying along here. Let's do 3 and 2 and 1. Go ahead and lower the leg down. Now let's turn over onto your stomach. Your head is going to be into your hands. Elbows are wide. So I want you to think of driving your pubic bone or your pelvis into the mat and then firing up through those inner thighs. So if you can, think hugging inner ankle bones together, hugging your heels together and your big toes. You have one solid leg right now. Now, without changing your spine shape, I mean, could you lift your legs up off the mat, keeping them razor straight, and just hold 2, 3, and lower the legs back down. Again, your tailbone is long, pubic bone is heavy. Try to float the legs up without changing the shape of your low back. You hold 2, 3, and then lower back down. Now, we're gonna add little heel beats. So I'm gonna refer again back to that toe corrector, okay? So imagine you have it on right now. Lift the legs up. You're gonna open the legs a little bit and then close the legs. Open the legs a little bit, close the legs. So remember that toe corrector is around your big toes. Push out into resistance and then close. Push out into resistance and then close. So find the side of your hips here as you do this. And now can you pick up the pace as you clap your heels together? And if your heels aren't touching, don't worry, right? Think inner thigh, inner thigh, inner thigh, outer thigh, inner thigh, outer thigh. We have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower everything down. All right, let's flip over and do the other side. So I'm on my right side. Back is up against the edge of the mat. Your feet are swept forward. So try to get a strong connection through the bottom heel, bottom blade of the foot. Top hands, I didn't mention it, but you can use it for assistance to push down into the mat. So both feet are up against that imaginary wall to start. Now hover the top leg up. Feel that you're growing long through the leg and through the hip, or through the waist, I mean. And now sweep the leg forward and then sweep it back. I already lost that connection with my bottom heel. It's also my weaker hip. And so this is the side for me that I want to turn out. So I have to think of, like I was saying, about that internal rotation, which really puts me parallel. Keep digging that bottom heel down. And second side typically is harder because we've already worked it. So let's do 3 and 2. And last one, bring the leg back in line with your bottom leg. Make sure those hips are stacked. And now we lift the leg up and lower it down. So we're pulling apart on that band, that imaginary band. And I know I keep looking down at my feet, but try to look ahead. All right, we're trying to stay long in our spine. Think of kind of leading with that top heel a little bit. How's that bottom heel doing? Oh, I just caught mine lifting up. Let's do 3 and 2. And last one, lower the leg down. Nice work. So come up to a seated position. Hey, baby. And just take an ankle over the knee and just find a figure 4 stretch. And then other side. So should we stretch out that hip? He loves to help out. All right, so we're gonna come back to the toe corrector and we're gonna finish there, but now we're gonna come to standing. So you have your band or your toe corrector back into that same position around kind of the tops of your toes, not into the creases. And you might not be able to see my head at some point. That's fine. I really just want you to be able to see my feet. So I'm standing with my feet in parallel with tension on the band. That was me like thinking, I'm looking at my feet going, what are they doing? So now we have the feedback from the floor. Whereas before we were imagining our feet were up against a wall. So just staying here, could you find the tripod connection, right? So through the big ball of your foot, the little ball of your foot, and your heel. And now find just that little pull apart with your heels to just open up the spring. Just, I mean, it's a hair. It's like a frog's hair type of opening. And now, keeping the tripod connection, just lift the toes up and then lower the toes down. We lift the toes up and then lower the toes down. Now here is where you can like look down and see, okay, what's happening at my ankles? Is anything shifting? So we did it here. Again, we just didn't have the feedback. But we had a really good visual. Okay, now I want you to lift the toes up. So all 10 toes are lifted. The band is taut. And now notice how you can like feel your arches are activated. And even if you can't feel that, just imagine that they're like really at the party. Can you keep your arches activated as you lower the toes back down? My toes don't even want to lower down, to be honest. Arches stay activated. The toes lift. Heels are still pulling apart though. And then lower the toes down, keeping the arches activated. And if you're like, I'm not sure if that's happening, just look down at your feet and see, are they changing shapes? Or are we like collapsing? Are we moving all around? Okay, now the toes are just long and down into the floor. Okay, can you keep all of these things now? And just try to lift the heels up a little bit. If you need to go find a wall, right? Find the wall and then lower the heels back down. So I even might need to kind of penguin walk myself over here, find some stability. All right, so let's do that again. Feel like the arches are at the party and now try to lift the heels up and then lower the heels down. So if you feel safe enough, look down at your feet right now and see that my ankles are neither caving in, they're neither pulling apart. They look exactly the same as when they're down and then when they're up. So for me, my left ankle is just all out of whack. It's just moving all over the place. I'm really trying to stabilize and keep that arch activated as I go up and down. Let's do 2. Don't fall forward if you're looking down. And then last one, go ahead and lower the heels back down, okay? Now we're gonna add just a little chest expansion into here, okay? Is anybody feeling the side of your hips? I am, okay? So feet stay activated, arms reach out in front of you, and with strong straight arms, pull the arms down and back, and then lift the heels up if you can, right? If not, think like just, it doesn't have to be a huge heel lift. Maybe like you can slide a paper under there. And then pause here. Pull the collarbones apart, hug the elbows in behind your back, and now turn your head to the right and turn your head to the left. Turn your head back to center, and then heels are gonna lower down, arms reach out in front of you, right? Again, pull the arms down and back, lift the heels up, all right? Weight into the balls of the feet, turn your head to the left, turn your head to the right, turn your head to center, whoop, and then lower the heels, reach the arms out in front of you. Now, arms, they stay straight. Go ahead and nod your chin, round up and over. So just gonna round down. Here's your standing roll up. So check your feet. My heels immediately wanted to cave in. Pull the heels apart and then roll yourself all the way back up, up, up. Don't let those feet or that tension change. Again, up and over. I'm feeling some work really here in the side of my left ankle. Again, that left ankle needs some loving. Last one here. Up and over. Get a stretch down your whole backside and even in your spine. Let your head hang. Take a big breath in. And then on your exhale, roll yourself all the way up, up, up. And go ahead and just lower the arms down and you are done. Thanks.